Hey there, and thanks for joining us on GamePoints, our weekly get-together where we talk about the past week in gaming news. I am your host, Stephen Brown. Joining me today are Sean Brown and David Smith. Say hey, guys.
Hello.
Hola.
Tonight we're going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077, some FarCry Primal news since it was announced last week. But first, before we get into any of that, I want to talk about this Star Wars Battlefront beta that has been live for the past couple days or so and what we all thought about it.
It got extended, too.
It did. It's extended till Wednesday, I believe.
So we can do that later when we're done with this thing, whatever this thing is.
Show. I'm going to play that game.
What do you guys think? Thoughts? Sean, we'll start with you.
It's pretty much everything I expected that game to be.
Is that good or bad? Expand
The words
on
I
that.
just said. It's good, I guess. Like I like the game a lot. But I mean, there's only one level out that's really multiplayer, so you haven't seen a lot of it. But just from
there's the Walker Assault, and that's for 20v20. There's the Drop Pod, which I believe is 8v8, or it could be 6v6. I'm not positive. And then there's the single player mission, which is essentially Horde mode.
I'll say it again. There's only one player. There's only one map out that's really multiplayer. That matters.
Wanted to be accurate.
It's very optimized. It's a really good looking game. I think they did a really good job with the graphics and how it actually plays out. The play style of it is very DICE. You can tell they did the game.
Definitely tell it's a DICE game, and it does look like a Star Wars game should.
Exactly. Like, they did a great job with this game. I'm really excited for the full project when it comes out, and I know I will be playing it probably day one. Probably not David.
David?
I want to love this game.
But
I do. Like, it's got Star Wars in it. It's got blasters in it. It's got lightsabers in it. Walkers. I mean,
I'm waiting for it.
well, what's
but I don't.
There we go.
I don't love being in these things.
You don't like any of the vehicles at all?
Not really.
Well, you don't
It's one
have
map,
to get in
motherfucker.
them.
I know, and that's why. Like, I can't really make my whole argument about this game until I play the rest of it. But right now on Hoth, I like being a trooper, but that's because I like the Battlefield games. It's a Star Wars themed Battlefield game to me right now, which, don't get me wrong, is awesome.
You love tanks
just-
in that game.
That's the thing. In Battlefield, I love tanks, I love jets, I love helicopters.
So why
Battlefront, I just can't get it. It's just
Yep.
It doesn't feel right. I don't know if the controls are different or sluggish, if it's just what's going on, but it doesn't feel.
It doesn't match
feel
up for
good.
you like it does in Battlefront proper.
Exactly.
Okay.
Hopping in a vehicle in Battlefield, I have no issue just getting in, taking care of business. Everything feels like it should, responds like it should, acts how I believe it should act. But when you're working with, Star Wars properties, there's not really any dedicated way when things are supposed to act a certain way because it's all sci-fi anyway. But it just doesn't feel right to me.
Let me ask you something. Have you owned the skies yet? Like, have you gotten into an X-wing, for instance, and just dominated people?
No.
There's your problem. Wait for it. Give it one game. You're gonna get one game, and that's gonna happen. You'll be like, all right, I like this game. I get this game.
No, because I've flown pretty much every match I've been in, and I can't stand it.
Wait
See,
for it.
I'm the opposite on this case. I love getting into jets on Battlefield, but I can't control them. Like, I'm terrible at it. But something about Battlefront, once I get in there, I'm not coming down unless either someone else is equally as good or I want to come down.
Yeah, I'm the exact opposite. I can fly forever, all day in Battlefield.
And
Can't do it here.
just can't do it here. Fair enough. What do you guys think about the hero system? Because I think that's the weakest part of the game, actually, so far. I hate playing as Vader and Luke Skywalker.
The hero
stand
system.
Oh, that's 'cause you suck.
Well, it's funny because the hero system is the only thing that actually is the same exact feeling from the first two games. Like, it feels exactly the same from Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 2. Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2.
I don't want to say they don't feel powerful enough. There's something about them. That doesn't click for me. I don't know if it's because
So this I'll go
move
the opposite way of the
pondering.
last argument. I think you suck as the heroes. 'Cause
Possibly.
I've done some serious work with Vader.
Possibly. One thing I would like to see, however, is a dual system implemented when the two heroes meet each other on the map.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I would ideally want to have the bubble that forms around the heroes, so the heroes fight, without 20,000 rebels shooting at Vader and then teabagging him.
As evidenced by multiple.
I'm gonna fix both your issues real quick, because there's gonna be a map. There's gonna be a map coming out, and I already know it's happening because they pretty much already announced it. Where David, you can fly Slave 1, and Steven, you can play Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's the Slave 1 one, and that's that in the Millennium Falcon. That's the Fighter Squadron, which is absent from the beta, unfortunately. I'd like to see how that works.
It's coming out. You guys are both going to have your cake and eat it, too.
I am cautiously optimistic on Battlefront beta from what I've played on so far. I've enjoyed it, but I get the feeling I might get burnt out on it real quick. However, that could also just be an artifact of the fact that there's really only one map worth playing on there so far, and that's the Walker, Salto, and Hoth. The drop pod stuff I just don't care about. Let's talk about some of the more technical problems of the beta, though. First and foremost is that horrible party system.
Oh, God. No, to be fair...
That's not a beta thing, it's an Origin thing.
Yeah, that's not a Battlefront issue. Origin
yes, but it is going to be part of Battlefront,
shitty service.
Every Origin thing.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, I agree. Every Origin thing. Unfortunately, it's irreversibly tied into Battlefront. You're going to have to deal with the fact that you're not going to be able to make a party of people because Origin fucking sucks.
Weird. It's like you're listing the exact reasons I stopped playing Titanfall for.
And that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Titanfall. I thought the game was awesome. But the inability to play with my friends and start like running train on kids, I don't want a just single-player multiplayer shooter. It's not fun to me.
Absolutely not. You get that to play with your friends, and they won't let you play with your friends. You can play on the same map, but you're fighting against each other. I want to roll 8 people deep on one side and crush some rebels, and they won't let me do that.
I want 8 people. We can all pick who our partner is. We have a buddy system.
That is my biggest complaint about the entire thing so far, is not so much the game, but the fucking party system that's involved just with Origin in general, which comes with its own bag of problems of getting people to show up on your friends list and being able to invite them in general. And it's just a shame that this game is extremely hamstringed by that.
So back to what I'm saying. I want to love it. I want to.
I think I'm getting it day one. I'm not quite sold on it yet, though I think I'm leaning more towards yes than you are, David.
Sure.
There is one more thing I want to talk about before moving on to the next topic, and it's that earlier today, I should say, they announced their Season Pass deal for Star Wars Battlefront, and essentially $50, which is way more than I've ever seen a Season Pass go for. It comes with 4 expansion packs, and you get early access to them like 2 weeks in advance, with no real further details assigned on it. So essentially, David, I see you shaking your head there.
It's ridiculous. It's fucking retarded.
Sean?
I've never ever bought a season pass ever.
Yeah, I have no interest in it. It's not so much the price point that bothers me. Don't get me wrong, that is higher than most season passes. I think it might be the highest I've ever seen a season pass go for. Mm-hmm. What bothers me is
almost the price of the game.
Yeah. What bothers me is the fact that they don't really tell you what's coming up in these 4 expansion packs. They're just like, oh, here's 4 expansion packs. Well, if 2 of them are ones you have no interest in. And in addition, the game itself's not even out yet. So you're asking for me to throw another $50 at you for 4 expansion packs that you can't tell me what's in them for a game that's not even out yet that I don't know if I'm really going to enjoy or not.
We say that like at least every week about a game, though, so that doesn't really bother me anymore. Because season passes are always going to be announced before the game comes out, it seems now. So like, I'm over that. I've been over that for a year.
It's not something that we shouldn't talk about.
Yep. But that being said, we can assume from other DICE games that it's going to be like 2 maps in expansion pack, 2 new maps.
And then like 3 rework.
Probably somewhat new guns in there. Probably like a new vehicle or something like that.
Here's the thing, though. So I expect that there's like new maps expansions that you get with the Seasons Pass. But the thing I'm worried about is one of the main reasons why I hate Seasons Pass in the first place. They don't guarantee you have access to all the DLC.
No,
they give you access to specific things. And that's why I think they're retarded.
Yeah,
because I already know,
is a big misnomer.
Looking at the beta, that there's customization options that are going to be in the game for customizing your troops and maybe your guns or whatever. And I know they're going to start like nickel and diming people with DLC for like here's this kind of blaster, have a different kind of lightsaber.
Cosmetic shit never bothered me, though. I'm fine with them charging. If you want to spend an extra $1 to get the Legacy Stormtrooper skin, whatever. It's when they start pay-gating content.
That's just kind of the line I'm worried about, is that they're going to have stuff like that has like guns in them and stuff, things with different stats. I guess I should have started with.
I don't know.
I've got to the point now where if it's a multiplayer game, if it's a multiplayer game, and I've been like this for the last 14 years now, before it comes out, I have to pay some money to get maps or whatever, so like it just doesn't bother me anymore as much as it does you guys.
And you know what? It's not. I don't even mind them charging money for extra maps. Sure, it's extra stuff thrown in. There's two things that I hate. One, the whole buy this sight unknown for $50 before the game's even released yet. That is just fucking crass to me. Two, when you're deliberately cutting chunks out of a game and putting it back in later. Like, for example, what was something that was in Battlefront 2 that is not in Battlefront, this new Battlefront? Space combat. And if one of those expansions is a fucking space combat expansion, that is balls. Because they knew that in advance, they knew that people wanted that, and they would have fucking deliberately cut it to sell it off later.
I hate the space combat, to be honest, but...
I mean, you can hate it. It's still part of the game, still something people expected.
It's sky combat in space.
I'm just letting you know that is
it's something in the game.
That people expected.
It's in the beta.
Cut. No, the Sky Combat, the Fighter Squadron mode isn't in the beta. Fighter Squadron mode is not in the beta.
You get in planes and you fight each other.
That is not space combat, and you know it. That's one or two vehicles on there. No, it is not, and you know it.
It's in the beta.
No, it's not. The Fighter Squadron mode is the closest thing that there is to it, and it's not in the beta. You can say it is. It's not.
Dude, it's just dogfighting in space.
It is dogfighting on a massive scale. That is not in the beta, Sean. There is a difference between the two. But anyways, final thoughts on Battlefield beta before we move on to the next topic.
Regardless of what we say or bitch about, EA is going to do whatever the fuck we want. We're probably all going to buy it anyway, because it's Star Wars.
I'm going to play it. It's got everything that Battlefront is normally, just with the dice gloss over it.
Fair enough. Like I said, I'm leaning on it. I don't know where I'm going to go. I'll probably pick up the base game itself. No interest in getting any of the season's pass stuff, especially if they end up pulling a Titanfall and just give it all to me for free a year later.
I assume I'll get it. I just don't expect to get it day one.
Fair enough.
Honestly.
But yeah, Battlefront beta, if you have your own interest in it, you can take a look at it for another couple days now from when this show goes live. I think it ends on Wednesday. It could end on Tuesday. I'm just not positive. I don't have the page in front of me. But moving on. Last week, no, not last week, 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Performance Matters hashtag, and essentially it was the Voice Actors Guild talking about, hey, we are going to go on strike if we don't get these demands met. You guys remember that?
Oh, yeah. They wanted to see if they could go on strike.
Yeah. Sean, do you remember this at all?
Yeah, we talked about it in the
show. Essentially, like I said 2 weeks ago, I'm a notorious anti-union, but this shit seemed reasonable, and it seemed actually in the best interest for their safety. Well, the deadline to vote for the SAG-AFTRA vote, this is essentially the Voice Actors Union, was October 6th, I believe, the day after last week's show. And the results for that came back in, and it's rather unanimous. 96.52% of members voted in favor of the referendum. Now, what this means isn't that they are immediately going on strike. What this means is that they give the national board, essentially their union representation, authorization to declare a strike. They only needed 75% of a yes vote, which is 3/4. They got fucking 96%. So almost unanimous support for going on strike if they had to pull the trigger. Once again, this does not necessarily mean that they're going on strike now or anytime soon. It just means that it is an option available to their representatives.
They're going to go on strike.
They're going to go on strike, you think?
They're going to go on strike.
Now, this is where I'm curious to see what happens. Right now, there's like a lot of populist support for, yeah, go on strike, take down the big companies. But when gamers start hearing of their favorite games getting delayed, who are they going to lash out at? is that support going to disappear, or are they going to go, that's fine, let them get delayed?
I kind of talked about this last time, in which most people probably don't even know this is actually happening that play video games, like, because majority of people are like Madden players, Call of Duty players that don't really give a shit about behind the scenes. And people who know about this are people like us, where we understand what's going on. So I actually don't think there's going to be that much backlash, except for the the normal Reddit shit, which is going to be a backlash about anything. They'll just yell at everyone for no reason. So
yeah, I totally agree with that. The kind of people that complain about this aren't the kind of people that would know about this.
Well, then the people who don't know about this, when they find out, let's say, assuming it goes this far, that they plunk down money on Deus Ex Human Revolution, a big game coming up, right? Let's say it wasn't already finished. The vast majority of people don't know what it is. I'd say about 90% of gamers out there have no idea what any of this is. And then they get told it's delayed again and again and again. And all they hear is, oh, voice actors are on strike. Where's the ire going to go? Is it going to...
I'm pretty sure they're just going to hear the game's delayed, and they're going to go, fucking Square.
Okay, you don't even think they're going to get that much information. They're just going to hear game delayed.
No, and the games that... And the thing is like I was saying earlier, the games that are going to be like the most popular that people are going to be... If something does get delayed, like say if it was potential, like Call of Duty got delayed for some reason like that, games like that have such a high budget now that they don't get a lot of voice actors from these. They do actual voice actors, like the whole Kevin Spacey thing.
They're still part of the SAG-AFTRA, though. SAG means Screen Actors Guild.
I got that.
Kevin Spacey is part of that. They go on strike. He's on strike.
Aren't they two different guilds in this situation?
One's a spin-off of the other. It's all under the same umbrella. I could be wrong on that. I don't think there's a reason.
I'm pretty sure this
aren't the same.
I'm pretty sure this is going to hit traditional voice actors, but I'm fairly positive that like A-list actors will still be able to throw their voices into stuff. What do they care?
Like I don't have enough information. I couldn't tell you. I can tell you this though. There's a reason why their union starts a Screen Actors Guild. And if they go on strike, I can guarantee you the Screen Actors Guild will back them.
I don't know. It's also the same thing as the Writers' Strike Guild. Like there was major shows that just didn't go on strike and did extremely well. So I don't know how it's going to affect things. Because like a lot of the primary network TVs like ABC, CBS, and stuff like that, some of their shows went on strike. Like Heroes was one of the bigger ones that went tanked. But then you have shows on like Comedy Central that the writers were like, we get paid that cable money, we don't give a shit anyways.
Well, once you start talking about the WGA thing, they're not members of the WGA. I'm using Writers Guilds of America.
I'm using it as an example, not like they're going to do that.
It depends on how much saturation the union has in the voice acting world. That I don't know. I don't know if it's only the high-profile people who are members, or if it's like a 90 percentile. If you're in the voice acting, you're part of the union. Yeah,
exactly. It's too hard to tell because it's never happened before. But
I can tell you this though. Go ahead and finish your thoughts. Sorry.
I honestly don't think it's going to matter to. I don't think gamers are even going to know. Like majority of gamers today are going to know about this because of how gaming is now.
I absolutely agree with you. I was literally just bringing up the other side of the conversation to have a conversation on.
No, absolutely.
I think John Q. Public is going to walk into the GameStop, get told Deus Ex is delayed, and they're not going to go, oh, why is it delayed? And if they ask, why is it get delayed, the response probably isn't going to be because the actors are on strike. It's going to be because Square Enix pushed it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not even going to get to that level of information. I agree full-heartedly on that. I just wanted to bring up the other side, see what people thought about it. But, they're not on strike yet, but they have the potential to go on strike. And there's that. We'll definitely see how that goes. I don't know if it's actually going to get that far or not.
I feel like if they threaten the strike enough, or if they even actually have to go on strike, that it wouldn't even last very long. Because like the stuff they're asking is not even ridiculous, but I almost believe that the companies are going to settle with them before a strike even happens, and they're not going to get everything they want, but they're going to get a good amount.
I think so. And like I said, I'm notoriously anti-union, but their fucking demands are goddamn reasonable. When I have to say their demands are reasonable, it's fucking reasonable.
Yeah, Terrence Powerley's definitely for them. But another thing, too, you have to realize is games that will be affected by this, we probably don't even know the name of them yet.
Yeah, because the ones that are coming out within the next 6 months, that shit's already in the can.
Yeah.
Voice act, so even in movies, if you're watching and you don't know, the acting part of movies, like for Avengers 2 came out 2015 May. The acting part of that movie was done a year and like 2 months before they even happened. It's all the post-budgeting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually the easiest part of the movie. It's everything else after that that gets taken care of. So games, I can only assume it's even quicker than that. It's probably only like 2 months in studio, you're done.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it's probably games in like 2017, 2018 that will be affected by this, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, I wish... Yeah, I have nothing else to tack onto that. That's about right. But, yeah, so... We'll see how that shakes out. Definitely interesting. Other news that we've been talking about over the past few weeks is Star Citizen. Now, I kind of went on and on and on last week about Star Citizen because I found the conflict between the Escapist and Chris Roberts games, or Cloud Imperium games, rather, just fascinating. It is an interesting train wreck to unfold. We're going to talk about something a bit more positive, though. At Star Citizen's convention, they showed off a trailer for Squadron 42. That's their single-player campaign, and they announced the voice cast to it, and it's a pretty goddamn impressive voice cast. Probably the biggest name on there is Gary Oldman, who you're seeing right now. He plays Admiral Ernst Bishop, giving this speech before the Galactic Earth Council, or whatever they call it in Star Citizen. But other people attached to it are Gillian Anderson, Mark Strong, Mark Hamill, John Rhys Davies, which that's awesome because they're two guys from the original Wing Commander, and Liam Cunningham. He plays Davros on Game of Thrones, if you don't recognize him by name. Now, I watched this trailer. I have it muted right now because you don't want audio strikes or anything like that through YouTube, but it's this trailer has me pretty goddamn excited to play Squad 42.
Oh, yeah. This looks awesome.
Dude, the voice cast in this game is... You pretty much hit every nerd genre with the voice acting in it. Because you got Gary Oldman, who's pretty much been in everything ever. Harry Potter, the Batman series, the Dracula series.
Who was he in Harry Potter? Oh, that's right. I do know he was in Harry Potter.
Like he's just been in everything. Like you name a big franchise. Gary Oldman's probably been around there somewhere. You just didn't realize it. Gillian Anderson.
It's
X-Files.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. Scully,
yeah.
By the way, you guys know
Lord of the Rings. Nailed it.
David, you were about to say something, kind of drifted off there.
I was going to say, did you guys know that they're reviving that X-Files?
Yes, 6 episodes.
It's supposed to start early next year.
Yeah,
DJ Zionide in chat says, "Hey man, they got some talent here. Have faith." I do have faith. I'm super concerned about Star Citizen. I think it's going on for way too long, but I want it to succeed. I don't want to see it crash and burn.
Yeah.
Mark Strong. He's who is he?
Mark Strong, dude. He's like the English everything.
I know.
He's the first bad guy in game Sherlock
he's the
Holmes.
bad guy in the Robert Downey Jr.
Rock and Rolla. Like the dude, he's the voice actor in the Space Marine game that everyone loved.
That some people liked.
Dude, that game was dope. Shut up.
Yeah, but John Rhys Davies, fucking Gimli. And by the way, Mark Hamill.
More importantly, with those
Joker.
two, Mark Hamill is Christopher Blair from Wing Commander, and John Rhys Davies is Paladin from Wing Commander. So Chris Roberts is like getting the gang back together again. The only thing he needs to announce is Todd Marshall, who played Maniac. Most of you people know him as Biff Tanner from Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you forgot. Also, they need to get Freddie Prinze Jr. from the movie Wing Commander. And Matthew Hillard from the movie Wing Commander.
We don't talk about that at all.
Oh, I just did.
However,
also,
go ahead.
I've been trying to say this for a minute, though, but I would like to point out that both Mark Strong and Mark Hamill are totally in Kingsman.
They are. A movie I have yet to see, but I'm so excited to see it one day.
So, yeah.
The only thing that I see missing from this cast is Malcolm McDowell.
Oh, he'll be there.
He played Admiral Tolman.
He was in the fourth one. Or
and the third one. He's Admiral Tolman.
Okay. I thought he was in the fourth one.
He was in the fourth one. He was also in the third one.
Okay. I thought he was a new addition to the fourth one for some reason.
Nah, Malcolm.
Wasn't there a big name actor that got added onto the fourth Wing Commander that wasn't in the first one? The third one, excuse me. I keep saying first because the third and fourth one were like 1 and 2 to me.
You know, it could be weird. It could be like one of those cases where Clive Owen was in Privateer 2.
Possibly.
Like before anyone knew who Clive Owen was.
Yeah.
Shoot 'em Up's a great movie, by the way, if you've never seen it. But yeah,
Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd.
Star Citizen, you have my attention with the Squadron 42 trailer. Don't fuck it up, please. I actually do want you to succeed. I'm super concerned with how long this has been taking.
We all are.
DJ Zionide's mentioning that, hey, behind closed doors, there are things that can't be said, but some things happen. True, but also keep in mind this is at an unusually large development time with very, very little to show for it when it comes down to it.
Little.
I'm really concerned about what's going on.
Also, we know where all that money went. All voice acting.
Yeah, pretty much.
To get Gary Oldman on a project like this, you paid him some fucking money.
Just to feed the trolls here, real quick. His wife is also cast as a live action role in this.
Got him.
So take with that what you will. I see no harm in it, but I'm sure someone will.
Nice.
Anyway, Star Citizen. Cautiously optimistic for it, but every month that goes by, I'm less and less optimistic about it being good. But
if that game comes out anywhere near what I want it to be, it's going to be like the only game I play.
I want it to be good. I want it to be great, and I want Squadron 42 to be up there with the Wing Commanders and the Free Space series, but we'll see. Anyways, other stuff that came out last week. We mentioned briefly that Ubisoft was doing something weird on their YouTube channel, and they were showing all these cave picture drawings. Rumors were it was going to be a game called FarCry Primal. Well, the rumors were right. It's coming. They've confirmed that FarCry Primal is in fact coming, and coming out quick, February 23rd, 2016.
The Far Cry games for me are like Halo to David.
You just don't care.
I've never gotten into them.
That's funny.
Never got into them. Never cared. Like for me, they've always been like benchmark tests. Originally.
Fair enough. I
like Far Cry games.
Far Cry 2 was good. Far Cry 3 was amazing. Far Cry 4 was nothing but bloat and filler, so I just really didn't like it. Pagan Min was awesome. The story campaign parts were great. That was only about 20% was up there, and in fact, Far Cry 4 kind of turned me off the franchise. This is going in a completely different direction. The video just ended. Let me come back here. Set during the Stone Age. You're a caveman killing woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers and shit. The sum up for it is, it is a quote from the Ubisoft blog. It is in the untamed land of Oros that you meet Takar, the sole survivor of an ambush of his hunting group. And you play him. You're trying to get back to your tribe. It's going to be voiced by Elias Torfo, the guy who voices Adam Jensen from Deus Ex.
Cool.
Sean, you were about to say, I kind of cut you off, sorry.
No, I look at this game and I'm like, you know what other like Primal kind of game I'm looking forward to that's not this?
Horizon?
Horizons.
Yeah, Horizon looks fantastic. And I'm far more excited for that than I am Far Cry Primal.
Is it just me, or like did Far Cry games? Sorry, like did Far Cry games like have like Far Cry 1 came out, and then Far Cry 3 came out like a lot later, then Far 3 came out a lot later,
so
and now they're just like pumping them out.
Here's what happened with the Far Cry series. The first Far Cry was done by Crytek, the guys that eventually went on to do Crysis.
Yeah.
And it was like an Island of Dr. Moreau kind of plot to it, weird mad scientists making animal monster people running around on this island. Then Ubisoft bought the rights to Far Cry and made Far Cry 2 a far more grounded, realistic, gritty, and fantastic shooter. A lot of time passed between 2 and 3. And that's where the confusion's coming in. 3 came out a couple years ago. 4 came out recently. You have Primal coming out 4 months ago.
Nope, I'm sorry. You skipped right over
Blood Dragon?
The most important part of this entire franchise, Far Cry Blood Dragon, which is the exact opposite of Primal in every way, because it's got sweet neon lights and laser dinosaurs and what's up.
And see, this is why I was hoping that this was going to be as something just off the wall silly as Blood Dragon was, but this looks to be like a legitimate, serious game.
Blood Dragon was a legitimate series.
Have you guys seen that new cartoon?
I was about to mention Moonlight City or Moonbeam City.
Dude. It's like the perfect show ever. It's Archer.
I haven't seen it yet. I do want to see it, though.
Tons of voice actors.
One thing that's very surprising, and I'm liking this trend, is that they announced it, and then they're like, and you're going to have it 4 months from now.
That's cool.
This is the Blizzard tact of things lately, where they'll announce the release date, and it's 2 months away. Fallout 4 did this. They announced, hey, Fallout 4 is coming. You'll play it in 4 months. I want to see more of this. I want here's the game. You're not having to wait 2 or 3 years for it. You'll wait 6 months. So I'm liking that trend.
I'm actually assuming they're going to do a similar thing with what they did with Blood Dragon in the first place, which is the whole game's going to be built on Far Cry 4. It's going to have the same map, but it's going to be completely retextures, new encounters, new monsters, new story, yada yada.
It's hard to do the comparison to Blizzard because we already know what Blizzard's going to do 10 years before they do it. So they might announce it like 2 months before it comes out, but we know what the fuck is coming out.
The point is, I like this quick turnover between announcement and release.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree, David, with the Blood Dragon comparison. There is going to be roughly the same map you find in Far Cry 4, a lot of the same textures. That's why they're able to crank this one out real quick. Far
Cry 4 looks good, so this is going to look good.
Yeah, and instead of being and it's going to be set in the Stone Age instead of a cyberpunky neon 80s spectacular with Michael Biehn. One game that Michael Biehn won't be in, though, but I would love to see him in, is the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077 from the folks at Studio Project Red.
Oh, did we just go from the past to the future?
We did.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Before I get into this, we do have someone in chat, Life of Cinema, asking about my Luke Skywalker encounter on Twitter. We did go over Squadron 42, but I didn't mention it. I was very happy because I was talking about Squadron 42 on Twitter, and Mark Hamill himself gave me a favorite on that. So I was like, all right, life goal complete, and moved on.
That's how I feel about when...
Dude, you're famous.
I wasn't going to mention it, but someone in chat asked about it, and I figured, what the hell, sure, why not? I'll mention it.
What a roll of the dice.
Yeah, I have no idea what he's talking. I don't get the reference.
Dice, fuck you.
Dice is making the Star Wars game, and Luke Skywalker's in Star Wars. Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill talked to you about a different thing, but it's all related.
Yeah, I see that now. Cyberpunk 2077, new game coming up for CD Projekt Red. They announced it about a year back or so with a fantastic
Dude, actually, let's talk about this. CD Projekt Red, totally killing it. If you guys haven't played Witcher 3, you should probably play Witcher 3. That game is amazing.
Absolutely fantastic of a game.
And as much as I like Witcher, and as much as I like fantasy, sci-fi is so my jam.
Yes.
That I cannot wait for this game.
Now, they announced this a while ago. It's based off the old pen and paper game. And they were recently speaking with MCV about some stuff behind this. And the visual effects artist, Jose Texera, said, quote, Cyberpunk is far bigger than anything else that CD Projekt Red has done before. Far, far bigger. And here's my problem with that. The Witcher 3 is a fantastic game, but I clocked in over 140 hours in it, and I still didn't do everything in there, and it got to the point where it was just too much fucking game. I don't want Cyberpunk to be far, far bigger than Witcher 3. That's too much game. There's too much there.
Some games are giant, some games go forever.
Now, if you haven't heard some of the ambitious stuff behind this, now one of the things that caught my ear about 6 months ago was the fact that they are going to have like 30 real-world languages in this game, because you're essentially walking down in a Blade Runner mishmash, so everyone kind of speaks their own language, and it's going to be accurate language that people are speaking. So you'll go a corner and someone's speaking to you in Japanese, someone else is going to be speaking to you in Spanish, someone else might be speaking in German, and you can either like just know those languages as yourself and pick up on it, or you can buy these translator modules to install on you so you can understand what they're saying in whatever language you happen to be speaking at the time. But they're going to be actually recording all of this in those native languages. So
that's actually awesome.
That is just to give you an idea of the scale and scope they're going for Cyberpunk 2077.
I'm a fan of that.
I hope when he says it's going to be bigger than anything that we've done before, I hope he means not content, but just their scope. Because I don't want to spend 130 hours driving a boat around Skellige Isles finding every single treasure again.
That honestly doesn't bother me too much. Like, I look at games, like, I played Borderlands 2 for over 80 hours, and I didn't even realize it did that. I didn't even want to spend that much time on that game, but I did. So I already play games for that long that don't have as much content. I just play them to play them. I probably have over 2,000 hours in League of Legends. So like, there's games I already do that with that don't have as much payoff, if that makes sense.
Fair enough. Chat DJ Cyanide in chat saying there's no such thing as too giant. Games are evolving.
Yeah.
Evolving into what? I don't know. I just don't have time to play everything.
Right now, I think they're becoming more of a lifestyle because it's not like you play 80 million games a year. Because I mean, I'm way past the point of where I beat a bunch of different games in a year. Like there's games I beat and there's games I play, but there's games that I keep coming back to.
I still haven't even beat Metal Gear Solid 5.
That's what I was about to bring up yet. I've sunk about 40 hours in Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm at like 36% completion.
And that's the thing is, like, people like us, we play a lot of games, but majority of the people will play half the shit we do. So they have more time
a lot of
to put
people
into
that'll find a game they like and
Dude,
they'll stick on it.
We have a buddy that's played Oblivion for probably literally 10 years now.
Yeah.
And he just keeps finding new shit and stuff he loves to do in it. So I mean, there's places for games like this.
I fully admit this is something that it's mainly me personally. I understand people are like, no, I want as much game as possible. I gotta do this shit for a living. I don't have time to play all this anymore. So I personally think shit's getting too big, but I feel like I'm in the minority on that, and I can accept that.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point, the big thing is just time constraints, which I totally get. Like, I don't have nearly as much time to play games as I used to, but I don't mind the big stuff as long as there's stuff that I can accomplish. If I feel like I'm sitting there doing nothing, I don't want to come home and spend my whole evening just grinding for things. But if I'm able to get a new story piece or get something that I feel really adds to my enjoyment, then yeah.
Hey, I mean, there is something to be said about a dollar to hour cost ratio as well. One thing the game press I feel takes or doesn't consider a lot is how much content you get for $60 worth, because they get all their shit for free. Life to Cinema in chat's talking about GTA Online. He plays online regularly, he says, and on the PlayStation 3 at that. So he's been doing it for a couple of years now, and he still hops on there all the time. But while on the subject of price and Sony and all that good stuff, we kind of expected this to be coming soon, but they made it official. The PlayStation 4 is now $50 cheaper, starting October 9th, which was 3-4 days ago. It is $349.99 for the base system. All their bundles also dropped $50 in price. Let me see if I can bring up the PlayStation blog page here.
Yeah, I mean, the Destiny bundle, which came with Destiny, is $400. So I mean, yeah, it was going to happen soon.
Yeah, of all their announcement bundles coming up, the Disney Infinity, the Black Ops, Battlefront 4 bundle, they're all $50 cheaper. So this is something.
Give me $50 to play fucking Black Ops 3.
I'm going to play the single player campaign, but I'm not going to touch the multiplayer on it at all. But yeah, we expected a price drop. I don't think it's a surprise. This is traditionally around the time a console drops in price. But also, Phil Spencer expected a price drop. That was something that he straight up said back during the, I want to say, what was it, Gamescom, when he straight was like, oh yeah, they're going to drop their price. We just see that happening. And while on the topic of Phil Spencer, he was speaking at GeekWire 2015 Summit. GeekWire is kind of a industry convention. And he came out and talked on stage for about 30 minutes. And one of the big takeaways is he straight up said, we lost trust with the audience. This is the YouTube thing on here if you want to watch it. If you can go to GeekWire's site and it pops right up there. But Phil Spencer more or less said, hey, we fucked up. And if you remember when the Xbox One was first announced at E3 back in, what was it, 2013? Was it 2013 or 2012? When Sony just punched him in the nuts repeatedly, and the little boy said, stop, he's already dead.
Pretty sure that was 2013.
Was it 2013?
It had to be. It was like right before the systems came out.
It was so good. It's like my favorite thing that happened.
One of the most memorable conferences of E3 was that Sony conference that happened after the Microsoft one, and Microsoft really wishes it wasn't. Because if you remember during that Microsoft conference, they came out and said it's always going to be online. There were rumors of not being able to play used games. You wouldn't be able to trade your games in at all.
Oh, also it was a TV cable box.
Yeah, and it was
the
ridiculous.
Big selling point.
Essentially, Phil Spencer on regaining trust, said, quote, "Whether it's always on, used games, whatever the feature was, we lost trust in them that they were at the center of our decision-making process. We were building a product for us, or we were building a product for the gamers." Question. Bad inflection on my part. And as soon as that came into people's minds, what you find is that you very quickly lose the benefit of doubt. He more or less came out and straight up said, yeah, we fucked up. We put doubt into the consumers' minds. We made it sound like we were making this for us, not for you. And we're sorry. We're trying to fix that. In fact, he said regaining that trust and that mind share of the customer, the gamer, is incredibly difficult. And it is, because if you think about it, look at the Sony compared to the Xbox One now. Which one has backwards compatibility?
Xbox.
That's the Xbox. Which one is getting rid of the horrendous user face that people hated? Xbox. There are people
who keeps aliens under wraps.
Xbox. Microsoft's going a long way to try to correct their perceived mistakes, and they're getting no credit for it.
Yeah?
It's too little, too late.
And
Y'all
yeah,
fucked up.
Phil Spencer straight up admits that. He straight up goes, yeah, sorry. We fucked up. We're trying to do better. It reminds me of the position Sony and Microsoft were in last generation, but reversed. Sony came out at their E3 when they announced the PS3, and they're like, $600, and you'll fucking mortgage your house, and you'll get a second job, and you'll fucking pay it. And the consumer went, no, we're not, and went en masse to the 360.
Yeah, that happened.
So right now, it's the same thing in reverse. It is interesting. And I mean, I'm glad to see Phil Spencer coming out and saying, hey, we're trying to work really hard to give you what you guys wanted. And I think they're doing it. I think I have to give Microsoft a lot of credit for listening to the audience.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome.
Life is Cinema, someone in chat points out, as a person who's firmly set in the Sony camp, watching the PlayStation brand outpace the Xbox since the PS3, Xbox 360 launch, this has been pleasing. He is essentially saying that he's enjoying the fact that Sony is outselling Microsoft this time around, though keep in mind, it's not as dire as it was the first time around. When the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 were going head-to-head and the 360 was outselling PlayStation 3, things looked really bad for the PlayStation 3. This time around, both consoles are selling really fucking well. Sony PlayStation 4 is outselling the Xbox One, but the Xbox One is killing it in the market share as far as a new console goes. Like, they're both doing really well. You want to pour one out for someone? Pour one out for Wii U.
Oh, Nintendo.
Who cares about the Wii U?
I forget about Nintendo when we do these shows.
Yeah. I think there might be... No, Mario Maker came out, and I didn't want to show anything on it because Nintendo tries to take down anything I talk about, so I can go fuck off. One thing, while we're talking about the Xbox, Phil Spencer and Microsoft and all that, is that they did announce that they're coming out with a wireless adapter for computers if you want to use your Xbox One controller on them. It's something that should have been there from day one, but better late than never. Let's see. There it is right there. This is going to come out on October 20th, and it will cost you $24.99. Essentially, you plug this in, and it's a wireless transmitter for your Xbox controller, which I'll probably pick one up. I love the Xbox controller for PC games.
I just have a really long cable for my PlayStation 4 controller on my computer.
Yeah, I could do that, but I like the wireless.
I was using a PS3 controller.
Well done, David. I mean, yeah, there are workarounds. You can always get like Joy to Key and stuff like that. But once again, remember, we're a bit close to the forest of the trees here. Joy to Key. It's an independent program. Remember, we're real close to the forest of the trees here. This thing's going to be great for mom and pa game system owner. It's a Polish last name. Game system owner.
Great job.
Yeah.
How about things that this is useful for? Like a Steam box.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That's going to be cool.
Or your
Mom
computer.
and pa game sister owner, they're going to just have a console and not deal with whatever the fuck Steve was talking about.
But you guys get what I'm saying, right? This isn't really meant for us. I might pick it up myself just because I like the 360 controller for PC games, but this is really meant for those owners who are in the majority who just go, I just want to fucking plug something in and have it do what it goes. They just want to play a game.
It makes sense because they have the wireless dongle for 360 controllers for PC already, so it makes sense. I honestly assumed that this kind of product was already out. That's why I'm just not really
that's why I'm surprised that it was announced now, because I also thought it was out for a while too.
Yeah, so there you go. Things are happening.
Bit of news before we get into new releases. David, you wanted to mention the Vermintide beta coming up.
First up, shout out to my buddy Earl Stoke in chat, because he's totally the guy that brought this up to me. So Vermintide. If you don't know what Vermintide is, do a little Google search for Warhammer the End Times Vermintide. It's a team-based Left 4 Dead style hack and slash action game thrown in the Warhammer universe, where you get to murder some stuff, and it looks great.
You get to murder giant rats.
It just looks so great. I cannot wait to play this game. And now we don't like to pre-order things. That's like a general rule. Pre-ordering's bad. However, we're not always the best of people as far as self-control can go.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah, don't listen to... Well, listen to us. Don't be us, because you can't handle it.
Regular people can't handle it. David. You, Steven, and Zugwire own it. I don't.
I technically did not pre-order it because you got it from me on my birthday.
Yeah, I got it for everyone except myself. So
you just bought it for everyone. Okay.
I didn't pre-order it. I'm still part of my own morals.
All I know is that I didn't pre-order it.
Okay, anyway, short version. The game comes out on the 23rd. That's awesome. However, if you own it already, the pre-order beta begins on the 16th. So if
on a scale
you are
of 1
like
to Goat
me
Simulator,
or Steven or anyone who's not Sean, and you're looking for something to do on Friday, hit us up so we can play some Vermintide.
Life is Cinema asks, on a scale of 1 to Goat Simulator, how good are we talking here?
I'm just going to copy-paste Earl's response and say it looks like a solid Besieged.
Fair enough.
On a scale of 1 to Goat Simulator.
That kind of wraps up for the news this week. Thanks for bearing with us this long. We're going to talk about new releases. Keep in mind, this isn't every single new release, just ones that caught my eye and that you might be interested in. First off is Minecraft Story Road Episode 1, Order of the Stone for, well, everything. This is Telltale's newest foray into the adventure games that they've done before, like Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, Tales from the Borderlands. But in Minecraft, who would have guessed you could make a story out of Minecraft? Well, they did. It stars Patton Oswalt and a whole bunch of other famous internet people. Go take a look at it. Their writing is always top-notch. I've seen a little bit of it. It made me check a couple times. Might be worth taking a look if you like that style of game. Also coming out, if you thought The Witcher 3 wasn't long already, then you can get the expansion for Witcher 3, Hearts of Stone on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. Adds about another 20 hours on top of The Witcher, and also brings back Shani from the first one. And apparently you can bang her like you can bang any other woman in The Witcher.
Nice.
Finally, rounding things out is Wasteland 2 Director's Cut on PS4 and Xbox One. The expanded version of the same game that released on PC about a year ago or so. Excellent top-down 2D old-school RPG. It is a sequel to the original Wasteland, which was back on DOS, and that in itself spawned Fallout. So if you want to know your roots where the Fallout came from, pick up Wasteland 2.
That game actually looks super awesome.
It is worthy. I enjoyed it when it was on PC. I recommend everyone else to take a look at it. That does it for new releases. Let's go ahead and get into some esports stuff. First off, leading on it is something that David, you pointed out and was very excited about. So I'll go ahead and have you take the lead on this.
So earlier we were talking about stuff that was old, and then we were talking about stuff that's new. So I want to talk about something old. And it's a movie called Back to the Future. And something slightly newer than that, and it's a movie called Back to the Future 2. Now I'm going to talk about something new again.
You got to go somewhere with this, man.
And it's called Rocket League. Now, if you're paying attention, I'm talking about a game where you travel in time and a game where you drive cars that hit soccer balls. They're putting the DeLorean in Rocket League.
They sure
is
are.
what he's saying.
With fire tread marks, and the single most important part of the entire thing, when your car becomes airborne, yes, they do, your wheels will fold in, and boost will appear underneath the car.
Coming out October 21st, 2015, which is important. Why?
Because that is the same day that Marty McFly traveled to in Back to the Future 2. So if you want to live your McFly dreams, October 21, 2015, time to get that DeLorean on.
The best part of that trailer is it's the exact move the DeLorean does in the movie, but it hits a soccer ball in a goal and like goes away.
Wouldn't it be easier if I just come by your house and knock on your head saying McFly a couple times?
Yeah. Also, something even better is that it's $2.
Yeah, it's cheap.
$2. That's like not even money.
This is a good kind of DLC. It's all cosmetic. Does absolutely nothing with the game itself. Knock yourself out. You
can get that DLC, or you can get 2 non-name brand sodas from the Dollar Tree.
I say you get 2 tacos.
You can get 4 tacos from Jack in the Box. Expensive ass tacos.
Sean, Worlds is happening.
Yep.
Oh, Worlds is totally happening.
Breakdown.
Worlds is happening.
Breakdown of what's happened.
In our infinite glory, North America did not make it to the quarters.
They are absolutely knocked out.
Yeah, it's the reverse of what happened last year when Europe didn't make it to the finals and 2 North Americans did. That being said, this tournament is already better than last year because I can tell you who I'm pretty sure is going to win, but I can't guarantee. Basically, last year, 2 months before the tournament, I would bet you $1 million Samsung White's going to win this tournament. However, this tournament, I'm going to bet you $100,000 SKT is going to win this tournament.
So I'm not you're pulling it back by down to 10%, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So SKT seems like the favorite in this tournament, but as any League fan or any MOBA or any kind of just esports fan knows, once you get into a best of series instead of a group stage, all bets are off. You have time to prepare for a team. You're actually studying for a particular team's playstyle. You're learning their picks. You're learning their champions. Upsets can happen. You'll have certain things set aside for this matchup against this one team, rather than having we had to play our best champs to get past group stage. So you're going to see personalities really shine in this area. That being said, the teams that did make it out are Flash Wolves, Origin, SK Telecom T1, AHQ Esports Club, Fnatic, Edward Gaming, Coup Tigers, and KT Rolster. For those of you keeping count, that's 3 Korean teams, 2 European teams, 2 Southeast Asian teams, and 1 Chinese team.
I don't know if I'm rooting for anyone
from America.
I'm not rooting for anyone, but I am rooting against Edward Gaming, just on the name alone.
And also because they're Chinese.
I didn't know that, just on the name alone.
Now I hate them more.
Yeah.
There were some really good games, though, last weekend.
If you were to tell me that 2 European teams and 2 Southeast Asian teams would have made it out above 2 Chinese teams, I probably would have slapped you in the face and told you to leave. That's kind of like the biggest upset of this tournament right now. LDG seems to shoot easily.
Both of the LMS teams from Taiwan made it in.
Yeah, the Southeast Asian teams.
Yeah, like
that's. Now, to be fair, they had the easiest groups in the tournament, hands down. Origin getting out, super impressive to me. Like that's the shock to me is Origin getting into the group. Origin was in a group with LDG, KT Rolster, TSM, and themselves. I thought they were going to be third in this group, but LGD just shit the bed. They lost their coach. Something happened. Whatever. Just them showing up in this group was really impressive. The first matchup of this tournament right now is going to be Yoe Flash Wolves versus Origin. This is the number 1 seed from LMS, the Southeast Asian teams, versus the 3 seed from Europe. Origin's got a lot of experience on this team. They got a lot of veterans. Some players still from Season 1 Worlds who actually won that tournament before it became a Worlds tournament. It was just Season 1 tournament basically back then, before Korea and China actually had teams. So it's going to be really interesting to see these guys play together. Yui Flash Wolves has the Lost Star talent, and Maple, their mid laner, and Karsa, their jungler. Really good synergy there. Which is kind of interesting, because I think Xpeke is... I don't want to say the weak point of Origin, but he's definitely the person you can exploit the most, because he's the oldest, and I think mechanically he's the least skilled player out of everyone. So I'm interested to see on how they're going to play around that. Soaz is a wild card. Soaz is Origin's top laner. This dude just will play anything he fucking feels like it, even to like the team's detriment. Like he will actually lose games because he doesn't feel like playing certain champions. That's always been his downside. He refuses to play meta champions because he doesn't think they're fun, which you can't do as a professional and be successful in any game, no matter what you're doing. So I'm kind of curious to see how this series is going to go. If I have to put money on it, I'm going to bet on Flash Wolves to make it to the semis. The next matchup, I don't know if you have anything to say to that, David, because I know you've been actually working the tournament, watching the tournament.
Flash Wolves is actually playing really good, and as much as I don't know, Origin's a decent team, but I don't think they can hang. So I'll be with you on that one.
And it kind of showed up last week too, because the second week they went 1-2, and the first week they went 3-0. So I honestly think they overachieved. And Yui Flash Wolves, they're solid. They're not great, but they're solid.
Mm-hmm.
The second matchup is SK Telecom and AHQ. This is probably going to be the most one-sided series of the quarters. AHQ arguably probably... I honestly think AHQ is the worst team in quarters right now. I think Origin actually has a better chance than they do.
Everything that I'm hearing, SKT should just roll over them.
Theoretically, yes, and that's the thing. Now, because here's the thing: is SK Telecom is probably the best of 5 team in this tournament, and AHQ has one particular playstyle. They get Fizz on their mid laner, Westdoor, who's very talented on this champion. Like, he is just insane about this champion. He's really good on it. If you want to watch him play this champion to perfection, watch him play against IG yesterday, actually. So go back, watch the first game of the day yesterday against IG. He plays this champion really well. They like to run pick comps. Like, that's all they do is run pick comps, and they kind of base themselves around Westdoor. Their bot lane AD carry player, Ann, very good AD carry, but I don't think he's smart enough to play in lane swaps, which SK Telem loves doing. They like putting Bang by himself in top lane to getting free farm, and having Wolf and Bangy kind of roam while having Marin actually play in the bottom lane. Now, Marin, the top laner of SK Telecom, this is actually kind of a shocking stat. Marin gets more gold as a top laner on SK Telecom than any other player on the team, and he actually leads all top laners in the tournament with 33% of the gold income of their team. For that to be on a top laner is shocking. Most of the time it's going to be in the mid laner or the AD carry, and he knows how to carry with it. On the other side, Faker, the mid laner of SK Telecom, gets the least amount of gold. I think it's the 11th out of 16 players in the tournament. So basically, out of 16 teams, he's the 11th most fed mid laner, but he does the second most damage of any mid laner. So he's getting very low gold income, but he's doing the second most damage. That is credit to how good Faker is as a player. That's why he's considered the best player in the world. This dude doesn't need resources to dominate you, and that's just, it's startling how good that is. So they put all their gold on their top laner, while Faker does basically just controls mid lane, while Bangy and Wolf, their support, dominate vision and have Bangy just free farm until the late game, like around 35 minutes, and this is where they show up in team fight. So HQ, with their pick comp style, I don't think they can hold up to this. So I think this is going to be a 3-0 series SK Telecom.
Fair enough.
Now, the one thing, though, is I did notice in these matches from last week, HQ, it seemed like they really stepped it up from what they were doing in the first week. Like, they really tightened up, and their gameplay looked a lot more solid to me than it did the first week.
You talking about HQ?
Yeah, I'm talking about HQ.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't expect them to win, but I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say it's not going to be a complete shutout, but I think they're going to do all right against who they're playing.
And again, this is the thing though, is I really feel like that group was probably the worst group in the entire tournament. Fnatic was the only team that played well, and they only played well the second week. So that's why I think HQ, they looked good this week, but they're playing against kind of the worst talent in the tournament, to be completely honest, outside of Bangkok Titans.
Did you see the Fnatic AHQ game from?
Oh yeah,
because that game was phenomenal.
Yeah, these games were really fun to watch, but I think just the competition themselves, it wasn't there. So I think SK Telecom is just going to crush them into the ground.
Fair.
The next matchup, which we'll see on Saturday, is Fnatic versus Edward Gaming. I honestly do not know how this series is going to go. I'm kind of stopped putting my doubt in Fnatic because for some reason they just tend to show up when I tell them they're going to suck.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a lot of it's about controlling Huni.
It's because they watch the show.
If Huni decides to go really hard without proper team dedication and backup, he can lose them the game. But there's also points in time where if the team is ready for him, he can make some amazing plays and really turn team fights.
I agree too.
It happened a few times this last week.
And out of the tournament, out of the quarterfinals, you're probably going to see the biggest discretion between junglers in this matchup. Reignover versus Clearlove. Clearlove, the Edward Gaming jungler, is probably the best jungler in the quarterfinals, and Reignover is probably the least performing jungler. I don't want to say the worst, because I think Mountain is up there as top contender for worst jungler in the quarters. But Reignover is definitely not performing as much as he should, and he's always been the weak point in Fnatic, but he's always worked well with Huni. For Fnatic to win the series,
as long as he can play Elise.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the move with a lot of junglers in this tournament too. So I really expect this pick to be kind of priority for both teams. It's not a pick you're going to see banned, but you'll definitely see it first rotation. I honestly think Forbidden's going to have to go off on Pawn for them to win this series. If you guys watch MSI, Forbidden had a hell of a tournament against Faker. He's going to have that kind of performance against Pawn, which Pawn is a lesser opponent than Faker, so it shouldn't be as hard. And another difference too, like I was talking about, Fnatic didn't really show up in week 1, but showed up in week 2 because of Yellowstar. Yellowstar played out of his mind in week 2. The first game they played a Ken and Shin bot lane. They played the Ninja bot lane.
Dude, that was so good.
And his Shin was like the first time Shin was a ninja ever in League of Legends. Like
that Shin play was phenomenal.
He played out of his
Shin
mind
3 times.
Yeah, and he kind of brought this Shin pick over to Europe too.
4-person taunt, like under turret.
I will actually be shocked if you don't see EDG ban Shin, because teams don't know how to play against it. They just don't
want that to come. Yeah.
Well, what happens is teams don't know how to play against certain picks like that, and so it really frustrates them. But the thing is, Shin's been picked in Korea, so like if they play against Q Tigers, or KT Rolster, or SKT, I honestly think it's a better matchup for them. But since it's a Chinese team, like this is the one matchup Fnatic actually might be able to win out of an Asian team. It's like the perfect matchup for him. Deft not playing as well as he did in spring as an AD carry right now. Pawn has always been overrated in my eyes. Amazing J, EDG's top laner, it's terrible. Huni should have his free reign over this series. So, I mean, this is like the perfect matchup for Fnatic to get to semifinals, to be completely honest. Like, I can't pick a better team. Maybe Origin, because Origin and Flash Wolves aren't the greatest teams here. But for the side of the bracket they're on, I mean, honestly, like, EDG might be the best team. Like, this is probably my upset alert, is Fnatic over EDG.
And now that you've said that, Fnatic's just going to shit the bed.
I mean, I don't know, like, because I want Fnatic to do well, but EDG is just a better team. Going into this tournament, I said EDG, SKT, and LGG were the 3 best teams here. So, I'm not going to be shocked if EDG loses. I think it's just stylistically, Fnatic matches up really well against this team, especially since Cora1's not playing for EDG in the top lane. Amazing J is, and I think that's the downfall of Edward Gaming right now, is them playing the worst top laner just because they said he adapted to the meta better.
If nothing else, this might be one of the more fun games to watch.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
I don't know if you have any input on that matchup, David.
No, dude. I feel. I mean, obviously, I've been rooting for Fnatic since they dominated the EU season. Yeah. And I really like it. Edward is, I don't know. They haven't especially impressed me with their performance. Like, I mean, they won games obviously, and they weren't playing terribly, but there wasn't a lot of completely standout moments. Like, they're playing solidly, but I don't know if they have enough to really break things up and shock, because, I mean, we're talking about Fnatic's Shen Kennen picks and how that kind of changed things, because after they did that, you see a whole bunch of Kennen showing up in the tournament.
Yeah, and, well, here's the thing, too, is this is kind of the reverse effect. EDG played in a group with SK Telecom and then HQK and Bangkok Titans. They played against one really good team and then 2 really not so good teams. So they went against the best team in the tournament and probably the worst 2 teams in the tournament. So again, I don't know where they stand. Because honestly, like this pick Fnatic did, Shin Kennen, can be really exposed by great teams. Like picks like that against SK Telecom, I think they'll see it coming, going, you know what? I'm just gonna play Olaf into you. And Faker, we've seen Faker play at mid, so we know it can be a flex pick, which is the scariest thing. Where he's like, I don't care about your stuns. I'm just gonna run at you. What are you gonna do now, Kennen? You don't really have an option for it. So I think they're not gonna get flustered on it. So I'm curious. I want to see this play out. I want to see if Fnatic has these cheese picks, and I want to see if Edward can game and can play up to it or not. And then like the last matchup of the tournament, it was kind of sad for me because it's Q Tigers versus KT. It's two Korean teams. So these teams played each other. Okay, so in the summer they played each other a total of 6 times. Then they played each other in playoffs, and then they played each other in the Gauntlet. No, they didn't. Q Tigers didn't play in the Gauntlet. So they played each other a total of. They went to Game 5, 6, 11 times already this year.
They just keep getting matched up against each other
because they're from the same region. They always go to max games. So it's an interesting series because they know each other so well that you're going to see more chess like League of Legends from this game. But you're not going to see that explosive excitingness, I don't think, anyways.
It's going to be more of they're equally matched to one of them makes a mistake, and then that's the game.
If you want to see a League of Legends game where the macro and the understanding of the other team comes into play the most, watch this series. Because this game's going to be won in pick and ban in preparation more than any other series in this tournament.
No.
Because they know each other so well, and they know each other's picks. So KT Rolster, I feel like, has the upper hand right now. They had a hard, well, I would say they had a harder group, but LDG didn't show up to this tournament. So I think KT Rolster is going to win 3 out of 2. I think this is going to be the closest series of the actual entire quarters. Both teams have a good shot if they make the semis of beating either Fnatic or Edward Gaming. Honestly, like out of these two teams, out of this side of the bracket, I think whoever wins this is going to make it to the finals. Just from the way Edward Game is performing, and I think Fnatic's too inconsistent and can't keep up with teams that know how to shut them down early. I will say Q Tigers is basically the Fnatic of Korea, but are tighter. They play much more controlled. KT Rolster has the best jungle support synergy in the tournament with Score and Peekaboo. If you let them get vision on you, you're going to lose the game. The only way you can really beat them is by beating those 2 players and making sure you're out visioning them, which SKT did really good in the finals of Korea. So SKT's kind of laid down the blueprint of how to beat this team. It's just if other teams can execute the way SKT can, which is really hard to do. So this is the one I had the most questions on, is this game right here, because Prey, when he's on as an AD carry, that dude can carry games. They created the Juggernaut comp. Q Tigers created the Juggernaut comp. That's how innovative they are. They have really great just insights on how to play comps. But positioning is key to their team, and Prey is so hit or miss on this that they can, and with the support of Peekaboo on the other team, like he can really get caught out of place here. So I honestly think, and this is like the weirdest matchup I've ever said, I think it's going to come down to between Peekaboo and Prey.
And who do you think is going to come out on top?
Yeah, if Peekaboo can get picks on Prey, I think KT is going to win this game handily. But if Prey can just be patient, and if they can put resources into him, I think they can win. Now, Q Tigers probably has the best top laner out of the entire rest of the quarters here. Smeb just plays out of his mind. It's a carry meta right now for top laners too, and that's what he loves doing. This dude can play Riven out of his mind, and he has yet to do it in this tournament right now, as far as I know of. I don't remember seeing him playing it. If you're going to see it, we're going to see it in this quarters. And I absolutely think that he can do it. Now, this is the great thing, though, is Smeb and Someday, the top laner for KT, are hands down the best 2 top laners in this tournament. So it's going to be a really interesting chess match between them, because they're both carry top laners, too. And KT Someday loves playing Jax, which isn't a current pick right now, but this dude is golden on it. So I'm really interested in seeing how this works out.
I put a gun to your head.
Yeah.
Which one do you pick?
Oh, KT. I said that earlier. I think they'll win 3-2.
Okay. I did hear you say that, but you also seem to be arguing with yourself and kind of going back and forth between which one.
And the thing is Q's roster isn't the strongest, never has been. They've just been really good as a team. Their mid laners, Q's Koro and KT's Nagne. Nagne, I think, is a better player right now, so you have that going up against each other. And their jungler, Hojin for Q and Score for KT. Score's better. So I think And then the top lane's a tie. So honestly, I think it comes down to Peekaboo versus Prey, AD carry versus support in this matchup. And I think Peekaboo is just better right now.
It
so
sounds
I give it to KT.
It sounds like if you wanted like the most mechanically perfect matchup in the game, this is it. Watch this. You're going to see how two experts play.
Not mechanically, no. Coaching. If you want to see how coaching affects the game, this is the one for you.
Okay. Good.
Like, coaching is going to kill this game. This is what's going to win it for him, is the coaching of this, the understanding of the other team.
Fair enough. Anything else you want to add, Sean, before we move on to one final bit of esports news?
This might be the thing you're talking about, but I know Brad, or DJ Zyna, excuse me, brought up about Dyrus' retirement.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to bring up.
The way they handled it was very professional. I think there's no better stage to retire on than it is at Worlds. Now, it would have been better if he could have gone out in the quarters or anything like that, but this dude's been playing since beta. He's the only player he's the only player that's been to every single Worlds, which is, Go America, North America, because he's the only person.
By the way.
Yeah. So good for him. This dude was probably the go-to top laner for Season 2 up until like the Korean teams came in here, and then Shy and Flame kind of took over. But he was, honestly, when I got to League of Legends, I remember the tournament. It was IPL 4, and the two teams that played each other in the finals were Dignitas versus M5, and the team that got third was TSM. After that tournament, they lost the Rain Man and put in Dyrus. And when Dyrus put on that roster, they won 7 tournaments in a row domestically, and dumpstered any team that came near them for almost a year until Season 2 Worlds happened. So that one position change of Dyrus completely carried them to World Season 2. So he was probably the most dominant player in North America at his position for an entire year. And you can't say that about a lot of players. There's only a few players I can talk about that had that reign. And the people I'm talking about are Madlife and Wei Zhao. Madlife, probably the most known player in League of Legends history right now around the world just because of his name. And then Wei Zhao, not as known, but this dude created AD carry. He created the slow push just playing Ezreal. This dude basically brought Ezreal into the bot lane. So he's up there with these big names as legendary players. Was he the greatest player of all time? No. Was he the best player in North America at some point? Probably not. Was he the best top player in North America? Absolutely at one point in his career. This dude, he had a solid career. I mean, like, you can't hate on a player for going to 5 straight world championships, period.
Also, absolutely a fan favorite. Like,
yeah.
A lot of the people that love TSM specifically because of Dyrus.
Absolutely.
Like, there's a lot of it just like America, USA love there, but a lot of it just comes from Dyrus. Dude rocking a pillow all the time. If you haven't had a chance to watch his retirement interview that they had of him right at Worlds, definitely take a look at it. You can find it on YouTube and everything. If you're big into League of Legends, it's a little emotional, because he's retiring from the game. He's all done. But yeah,
Dyrus is the only part of TSM I like.
Now you just absolutely hate him.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I think the one thing that I enjoyed though, especially from the interview, is that even though their team didn't do the best, I mean they're still at Worlds. So losing at Worlds, you're still better than everyone who didn't go to Worlds. So it's whatever. But I liked the respect that he got from the crowd. I mean, even though they're in Europe and he's a U.S. team member and everything, like he got a lot of support. People were like cheering and everything else. So it was good.
Yeah.
I think that about wraps it up. Final thoughts, Sean?
SK Telecom's going to win this tournament.
David?
They're going to play against KT Rolster.
I'm looking forward to playing Artanis when he comes out on Heroes of the Storm.
That's esports related. That's the first esports thing you've ever said in this show. Darkest sketch.
Also, yeah, we're gonna need to talk about some hot stuff too. That's
fun as fuck.
Once it starts rolling, and once we start actually seeing teams on there, we can actually talk about that. Because I actually play HOTS as opposed to anything else. But for right now, that does it for Game Points. If you've been watching this live, once again, thanks. We appreciate it. Chat's been very talkative today, and it's always welcome. We broadcast live every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. If you can't catch us live, you can always go to our YouTube page and watch all the past shows on there, except last week's, because last week's audio was just atrocious. Apparently, I was using this instead of this here, and it did sound good, so I didn't put it up. But you can watch every other live show there that we've done. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, give us a like, comment, all that good stuff. If you want to reach out to us directly, you can email the show at gamepointspc@gmail.com with any questions, comments, concerns. You can follow the show at GamePointsPC. You can give us a like on Facebook at GamePoints Podcast. If you want to follow us individually, I am your host, Stephen Brown. You can follow me at CapitalistPig21 on the Twitter. Our esports guy down there, Sean Brown, give a quick wave. You can follow him at the Disco_King. And across from him is David Smith, and you can follow him at PalShaftsTory, even though it's more or less a dead account, so don't even bother. Once again, thanks you for watching. This has been Game Points, and we're out of here.